out of all things to choose from, when did you start comedy? How long ago did you decide to go into comedy?
I started doing comedy when I was 16, 17 years old. It was in 2009. And I was writing. I discovered stand-up comedy itself, not comedy the genre. I discovered stand-up comedy when, I don't know if you remember, but there was on Showtime, the TV channel that's now OSN. There was every Monday they used to put out. It was the Monday of stand-up comedy. They just put out specials and shows and the 30 minutes shows. So I used to watch that, and I was like super fascinated with how they are. It's freedom. It was freedom for me. Like, how can he talk without like all the comedy that I was consuming before? It was vaudeville or farce, or it was in Lebanon was George Khabbaz, or it was Fadi Raide, and it was sketches, and it was theater, and it was written very accurately written material and very accurately written scripts. So when I saw stand up, I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, this is liberating. So I wanted to do that. And so I started writing some ideas. Like, my first joke was about Farmville, if you know the game. Yeah, we had a craze for Farmville. Yeah. Okay. So literally the first line I ever wrote was Farmville is I'm gonna say it in Arabic, which is Farmville كثير عم بتقربني من امي لانه كل ما انا اجي ازرع فراز بتجي تقول لي يقبرني شو ايده خضرا. So that was the first something.
So your career is credited to Farmville.
To a video game where you used to wait until virtual strawberries
to a video game our moms played in 2012.
Yeah. Farmville and ShowTime. Okay. So Farmville and ShowTime.
Yeah.
Farmville and ShowTime.
Farmville and ShowTime.
Wissam Kamal.
Yeah.
Anna, I wanted to know, okay, so you're 16, 17, you're starting to fall in love with comedy.
Yeah.
When was the moment you I was gonna say you came out to your parents, but you came out with comedy. And when was the moment you're like, Mom, Dad, I hate to disappoint you, but I'm going into comedy?
Oof, that's a really cool question. Okay, so the first time I decided to do stand-up, I was opening for a sketch troupe in Jemaize. They had the show in December, and I was opening for them. I had 15 minutes to open for them. So I told my father to drive me there with a fake ID. Like, and he didn't know, because I need to enter a pub in Jemaize. So he dropped me, and I was like, yeah, I'm at my friend's. I didn't tell him back then. And then when I started doing my own shows, because I didn't have it's not like now. We have open mic nights. We have opening acts. We have places where we can test out our material for 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Back then, I needed to do a full-on show, at least 30 minutes, in order to test out material. And so that was crazy. So when I started doing that, actually my father was supportive, because he thought at some point he thought it was a phase and it will fade away. Yet when I started doing more shows, I was like, there's something in it. Yet my mother wasn't supportive. Yeah. My mother wasn't supportive at all. Like, she was like, no, you're not a clown. You wouldn't do that. You never do that. You have to have a good career. And with time, and while I was evolving in my career, I became from, no, you're not a clown. You can't do that. And now I'm, so I was like from here to here, and it started from the bottom. Now I'm mother approved.
Yeah, mother approved is a big success.
My father was an artist. He was a singer, and he had a good singing career, and he had an album made. Yet he stopped everything for family's sake. A reason that I don't know what is. It's still a mystery for me. And I hate that. So when he saw me pursuing this, he was like, he was afraid at some point. Like, he knew where I'm heading, because he tried and he didn't like pursue it properly. And at the same time, he was very supportive. Like, he drove me to the shows. He attended some shows when I was trying out.
Nice.
Yeah, he was there, and then he watched 2 shows, and then he didn't watch any show until my recent show, like my Shashmo.
How long was that?
Yeah, it's 9-10 years.
Ooh.
Yeah. My mother was the problem because she was like, she refused to the maximum, and for me, at first it was frustrating because, you know, she's your mother and you need her approval, and at the end, between the approval of your mother and the love and your career that you love and you know it's that you wanted, the career. Like, I wanted the career. Yeah. I spent a good 18 years with my mother. we were on a good run. Let's go. Let's go to this.
It was time to cut ties. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was time to move on. And for me it was like, yeah, whatever you're gonna say, I'm gonna do the opposite of that, and you're gonna see. One day you're gonna accept this, and actually you're gonna support it. Ironically, 2 weeks ago, she sent me. I wish I wasn't talking to you on my phone. She sends me a voice note asking me, "Why didn't you put out another video? Where are the videos? Like, you're not uploading. It's been a week." And I was like,
wow,
Mom,
number one fan, from biggest hater to number one fan.
10 years. Took us 10 years over there, Mom.
Yeah, it started, and she started pitching. And she started pitching ideas like, yeah, why don't you talk about COVID? Why don't you talk about vaccine? And I was like, no. We're getting the vaccine. Like I'm not gonna talk about this. So I was like, what the? And I was like, يعني قلت لها جملة, سبحان مغير الأحوال. For a non-believer who says that, so I told her, like, that's awesome that you're pitching ideas and you're trying to motivate me into creating more content. But I think this is my answer to your question.
It's amazing that, look, to be honest with you, you're lucky in the sense that some mothers don't even come around, or some fathers don't come around. It's always going to be an issue, but at least she got there. And Anna, for me, what's amazing about your profession, I told this to Noor Hajjar as well, is like how perseverant, how persistent you have to be, because you're getting into an industry that's so uncertain whether you can make it into a career. Hon bi Lebanon, there aren't a lot of guys in front of you who you can model yourself after. In the US, there's a lot of people, but here it's uncertain. And I want to go back to those beginning days with you. You're trying out material on stage. Did you bomb? Because all comedians have those famous bomb stories, like where they just were so shit on stage. And if you did, how did you manage to get over that? How did you manage to regain the confidence and the cockiness of a comedian?
Okay, I'm gonna answer on. You asked me. You mentioned 2 things. I'm gonna answer both of them. So the first one was about how I am lucky with having my mother, like, approving everything and turning her around. I wasn't lucky. Let's be honest about that. I wasn't lucky. I just worked hard in order to make her look bad. Like, I know, I know, it's not for that. I was like I worked hard, and she was like, yeah, I cannot not approve that. And I was very clear, like, yeah, I love you, you're my mother, but this is what I want. I'm doing the best I can to get everything and to provide everything that is needed in my mundane life. And so let me do that in peace. And she was like, she had no other choice. I'm doing that with her acceptance, without her acceptance. And now I'm glad that she approved that, and she is actually encouraging that. That's the first question. The second question about bombing. There is every time I meet a new comic, someone who's trying out new material, who's trying to, for the first time, to be a stand-up comic, I go up to them, and most of the time they do good, because they tested out the material and they bring over their friends and they like laugh at every joke. So I go to them and I say, great set back there, and they were like, thank you so much. And I was like, yeah, I hope you bomb next time. And they were like, I did that with a guy called Ahmed Saifuddin, and he told me, he shared the story that when you said that, like, I felt wrong, and then I understood why. Because there is nobody can call themselves a stand-up comic without bombing. No, it doesn't. It's impossible. Even if it happens, there's something wrong in you, because we need to fail in order to know what our voice is, which is something I'm still searching for, by the way. We need to fail in order to know what works and what doesn't, in order to gain more experience and more responsibility with our jokes. We need to fail in order to know what we like, what we don't like. Like if everything succeeded from day one, what the hell? Like first time I did stand up, I did very well. There was people laughed. I did a good 15 minutes. I made fun of the venue itself. It was interactive and it was great and it was beautiful. The second time, after a week, I went to a place called in Jbel. Back then it was called Barbakan Jbel. I did okay. I did like okay, that's good. The third time I did a set, the same 15-minute set that I did it before. It was in Motion Kaslik in front of 120 persons, the audience. I bombed so hard that I got booed off stage. like boo نزال يا حيوان بلا كماخة خلاص نزال يا كلب. I was like لا, I have to مش انه I didn't know how to die, like انه لا انا اوكي هاي النكتة ما ظبط براسي, انه هاي النكتة ما ظبط هات عمل تاني. And I was performing to my feet, and I was saying every time a punchline works, or every time I say a punchline, I'd say okay. Like I'm talking to my brain, like okay, check. Now we said this joke. Check. Now it's like, so with time, bombing is essential for every comedian, and I'm not gonna say like I love to bomb. Nobody loves to bomb, but it's the fact that it's there. I'm glad that it's still there at some points. I'm glad that it's there because it makes me know for sure that my career evolution is on the right path.
Something that happens a lot in the US is like joke stealing, and sometimes people steal sets and ideas. This happened. I know that Amy Schumer, when she blew up as a comedian, there was a lot of people and comedians saying, she stole my material, she stole my lines. And then there would be a YouTube video of her set next to another comedian's set, side by side. True. And you could see like, oof, she did take a lot. Does this shit go on in Lebanon?
No, not that much, because we don't have much comedians. And secondly, we don't like, okay, stand-up officially started in Lebanon, like when we started calling it stand-up comedy as officially when Nimr started.
Yeah.
And then Nimr, and after Nimr there was a troupe called Liao, Reasons to Laugh Your Asses Off, which is a troupe of 4 people. كان فيها جورج طلباي, توني داغر, جو رحمة, إلياس خزوق. So كل واحد had his genre. And while they were performing, like after 2 years or 1 year, I don't remember when they officially started, I started. So now we have 5 comedians doing their shit. And it was like 3 years when stand-up started. And some people try to do stand-up, more people trying to get into the art form. And then it turned off. Like it went back. Like it was Nimr doing big shows, and there was me doing pub shows,
more
like small, underground pub shows. And there was some comedians like trying to do like collective shows together. And then Awkward came in. And when Awkward came in, I can say stand-up officially started in Lebanon. The stand-up scene, the stand-up mentality, because the best thing that Awkward did is one thing. Not getting new comedians, not creating a scene, not providing shows on a weekly basis, not the open mic nights. هدول كلهم مهمين, بس بحطهم مطرح واحد. On the other hand, and the most important hand, when we do comedy club nights, you, the audience, don't know who's going on stage.
صح.
You don't have any expectations, and that's beautiful because you don't have on the poster like, yeah, there's Wissam Kamal and there's Sheikh Abu Abdullah and there's Muhammad Baalbek and there's Nicola To and there's Nuh Hajjar and there's ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. No. It's a comedy club night. Come watch comedy. So they created the comedy culture in Lebanon, which was struck by COVID now, and we're trying. And when it gets back, hopefully, it will keep on evolving and getting bigger and bigger. So I can tell you, like from 2018 or 17, it's been 3 years. Yeah, 2018, stand-up comedy officially started in Lebanon. So بعطيها هيد قصة allegations تبع انه انسرق لي وما انسرق لي وهدول 10 years.
Okay. Wissam, I'm gonna agree with you so much on this, especially that last bit where you said people come in with no expectations because of what Awkward are doing, and the not the vibe, but like the structure, the way they structure their nights. Well, I can completely relate to it because I've only been to one Awkward night, which was not that long ago. It was around the Christmas time. And Zilit ma Rfiti, she's like, come, you have to check it out, you have to. And I've been really wanting to go, but because of COVID, I was like really scared. But I said, I have to go, man, I have to go once. And the only comedian that I knew that was playing that night was Nuh Hajjar. There were like 5 other people. And man, I swear to God, I don't think I've naturally laughed in a space of like 2 hours as much as I did in that night. I didn't know anybody that was coming on غير Noor. Yet, and
that's beautiful, man.
And it's not just like the comedians. It's the vibe in the whole room. It's infectious. Everyone is laughing, and I feel now more than ever, due to so many people are going through so much personal shit because of COVID, because of the economic situation in the world and in the country, and so on and so forth. When you go to these nights, it's like 2 hours where I'm just gonna block out everything and I'm gonna come in and have a good time. And it's great. It's honestly great, and it's so sad. At the same time, it's sad because if you don't mind me just saying this, I don't know if you're gonna agree with me on this or not. We're talking about like you guys paving the way, because there was never really like a stand-up culture before you guys came into play. And right now, it's not just because of COVID, but like, the repercussions of the whole situation in the country. You have so many people leaving, and it's so hard for me to imagine the new generation of talent that's supposed to come up looking up to you guys. How much of an opportunity will they have? And if you think deeper, how much of an opportunity will Awkward really have to continue its legacy within the next 2-3 years with all these lockdowns, with so much mismanagement going on in the country? Like, it's sad because it's sad because for the last 2-3 years you could feel growth, and now all that might go away. You never know within the next 2 years as well. It's sad.
I agree that all that might go away, unfortunately, because of it's not about COVID, it's about the mismanagement in the country and the mishaps that we're having. Yet the best thing about human beings, that they need performances. They need I think there's a hunger for people to go and watch comedy and watch people on stage, and to go out and to have people after COVID don't want to be boxed in four حيطان.
They just want to go out.
What the fuck? Four walls. 4 walls. They need to go out, and they need human interaction. And I need to say something extra about Awkward that you mentioned. What I love about Awkward and what I love about the current scene is 2 things. First of all, when you go and watch an Awkward show, a comedy club night at Awkward, the comedians are not in backstage. They're not in we have a room, we have a green room, but it's not in we have a backstage and nobody can talk to us. Like, literally, the best feeling I can get is that I finish my set. Personally, I finish my set. I go down the stage and we have a break, and I go with the audience to just stand on the roof while they're smoking. I just finished. I was talking to my friends, ثانية بس طلع عم stand up وجاي بطلع هات أكملكم. So this is beautiful. And the second thing is the comedians themselves, because I can assure you, we never had this. Every time we have an open mic night, we all go to have a cocktail shaqaf in a place in Sessin. And every time we end we finish a comedy club night, we go have sandwiches in Mankhayl. it's a ritual for us.
Yeah.
We're super friends. We go camp together at Nicolas' place. We spend nights together. They come over to my place. Like, it's always there, and we're always sharing
So
ideas.
you're telling
and
me
we're
that
always
the
sharing.
comedians in Lebanon have orgies? Is this what you're trying to tell me?
Not that
That's what I'm getting
I
at.
know of, because like.
Okay.
You weren't invited.
I've been in a relationship for a year and a half, so nobody invited me.
Okay,
So-
okay. Maybe this was before. Yeah.
Ryan,
Maybe-
you've
maybe-
never been.
maybe
though,
that-
right?
No.
No, maybe
I've never.
that's how they chose
Wait, what,
most comedians are like who's in the orgy? Okay, cool. 6 comedians, now you're on season 1.
No, but
Yeah,
it's so sad,
exactly.
Ryan. You've never been to one of those nights. I swear, hopefully once all this COVID shit is done, man, I assure you, if you go,
We'll
Ryan,
go, man.
you would
No,
love
we'll,
it.
Definitely.
No. I'm gonna. Anna, I've been a fan of stand-up, especially stand-up comedy since I was a kid. Hello, unfortunately for me, with a bit of my Western mentality, and people like to always give me shit for talking in English all the time. This is part of it. I grew up
fuck them.
watching. Yeah, fuck them. I grew up watching the English stand-ups, the ones in America, the ones in the UK. You mentioned it right now. Nahna, we didn't have a scene here.
Exactly.
I know the first time
Yeah.
I heard of a stand-up comic, like you just said, was Nimr. Nimr was especially because he was doing it in English. So that was the first time I heard someone, and his shit was good, and I was like, okay. And now it's amazing to see a lot more guys and girls coming up, and this is amazing for me. And something you've done as well, which I think was, I don't know, maybe a necessity now. You adopted the digital media and social media very well. Anna, when I first heard about you, in all honesty, it was from Euhh Shu Sar Lyom, which was being sent around all over the place. Yeah, which was not too long ago, because that's quite recent.
Yes.
And then I'm like,
January.
okay, so he must. Yeah. I'm like, so he must be new to social media. And then I went on your YouTube page, and you've been making videos since 2013, 2012, 2013.
Yeah, I'm not counting the years, but yeah. I think it's.
I was counting the years.
Yeah.
and it was amazing for me to see that you adopted it really early. There was that thing with you started to put your dad in videos, and people love your dad. They think he's hilarious. So how important
he's a
was
natural.
social media to get your name out there and to get people liking your content?
It was a necessity, because for me it started out with it wasn't like so now I'm a stand-up comedian, I need to get my name out there, what should I do, let me do sketches. No, it wasn't like that. It was, I had ideas, and I'm a filmmaker, and my friend bought a camera, and he used it twice, and he left it at my place, and I didn't remind him of it. And that's it, yeah. Like, and he didn't. If he wanted it, he would have to ask for it. So
he didn't ask for it, so it's his fault, obviously. Fuck him, exactly.
Finders keepers. Yeah. So I started doing videos, like really dumb videos. Like one night I uploaded like 15 videos in one night on YouTube, because I told people on my Facebook, write me a line and I will do a funny video, a funny song with it. And I did that, and then I deleted all the videos, and I started with a new format called Lebanese Father and Son. And then after Lebanese Father and Son, I started I worked for 1 year in an advertising agency, and I hated the clients so bad because they fucked up all the creative process. And I was like, you know what? Let me tell you what's wrong about the industry, and let me tell you about what's good about it as well. So I did دعاية لبنانية اخت المنطقة Lebanese ads, fuck logic, and then I did other formats like Doppelganger, where I get a lookalike of the celebrity, and I interview him or her as the real celebrity. Some people believed that. Some they thought I was talking to them.
People would believe a lot, yeah.
Yeah. And I did Write My Line, and I did اعملها ببيتك, and I did I'm trying to remember, there's so many formats. If you go to my playlist, you can see I created a lot of ideas. And then recently, when I moved to my new place, and now it was for the first time I did for the first time ever, I had my own place. I spent, not last year, before the year before, I had like a downfall mentally, and I lost a lot of things, lost a lot of people.
It was tough for everyone.
I uploaded.
It was tough for everyone.
None. I think it was in 2019.
Yeah.
No, not. I think between 2018 2019.
Oh, okay.
So So yeah, I was like, I had ideas, but I'm like, okay, I ما بدي أصور, ما بعرف, I can't. So I uploaded the whole year. I uploaded 5 videos. That's it.
Do you mind
5 videos.
Do you mind me asking? Do you mind me asking
Yeah.
why did you have such a downfall? Like, what was the cause of that?
I lost a lot of people. I broke up. My girlfriend broke up with me. I lost best friends. I lost the house that started my whole online career, because literally, like, I always lived in rent. We never owned the house, me and my parents. So this house, I lived in this house the longest, and this house meant to me. This room meant a lot to me sentimentally, because it's where I started my first videos, and where I went to my shows. And it was, for me, it was like we were about to buy the house, and then the owner decided to sell it to someone else. So we were out, and so I lost that, and I lost it. So I was like, I don't want to do any more videos. I'm not now, at least. So I did like 5 videos maximum that year. And when I moved here, I started like, okay, when we moved to the other house with my parents, the last house I lived with my parents with, in before November, I did some videos. I started to do some more content, and I was doing Shashma. I finally wrote and created Shashma. So when I moved here in January, I was like, I was always telling my friends, like, I need to do something daily. I need to do something that's like, I need something to get me back out there. I have a lot of ideas. And they were like, no, don't do that. It will drain you. And they're right, by the way. I'm not gonna do that unless I have a team. But I want something. Something daily, but it has the ruhi of daily. Like, when something big happens now, people will message me like, talk about this, and it went away. Like, and 3 days after, I was sitting at like 10 p.m. at my place, literally fucking depressed because of that. And I called up. I came and I was like, I opened my phone. I was like, شو صار اليوم? And I was like, what the fuck? And I sang it like that. Like, I go, شو صار اليوم? What? So I video called Shaker Abu Abdullah, and I told him, bro, and he was like, what? Tell I came up with an idea. I'm filming now a show called Euhh Shu Sar Lyom. And he laughed, so سكرت خط بوجهه. And I didn't know what was the episode about. So I went and I researched, and I found out that انه قريت كان طالع القرار تبع اللوك داون, and they were like, we ensure that the ATMs will always work for you, yet you cannot go out. I was like, why would you ensure that if we can't go out? And I did the first episode, which was daughters, and I did that, and it blew up. Like, people like, people started calling me like, Euhh Shu Sar Lyom, Euhh Shu Sar, and still now, and I was like, okay, that's perfect. Okay, and I'm still going to do that. Yet, if you can see if it's flipped or not, I'm working on a schedule where we can get hopefully daily content, yet different content. Yeah.
Your style, though, Wissam, when it comes to like spreading a political message, I think just through our interaction, mine and Ryan's, with George Khabbaz, حتى before we got George Khabbaz on the show, something that he told us, he's like, guys, دخيلكم, I'll come, I'd love to talk to you guys, but please ما بدي أحكي سياسي. أنا إذا بدي أحكي سياسي, I'd like to spread my message in an indirect way, in a more symbolic way. I'm not gonna go and target every single politician or say this guy does that, this guy does that. I let my actions, or even the words that I say, resonate with people. And you could, because I think maybe George Khabbaz is a legend right now in Lebanon when it comes to production, comedy, directing, acting. He has it all. And even in his works, even in his films, you could see he doesn't really target a certain group, but after watching his works, he has very strong messages that can be related to wide areas of Lebanese society. And correct me if I'm wrong, in one way or another, I feel that's what you aim to do when it comes to spreading messages about society or politics.
No. I know my demographics very well. I had this conversation once with a lot of people about George Khabbaz. George Khabbaz, in his play, his demographics, at least in his theater, is from 6 years old to 65 plus. He has a big, he wants to have everybody come to his theater, right? And that's the reason why he has a sign like nobody under 6 years old can enter. في يكون حاطط مثلا انه PG-13 and هذول. So he wants to talk to everybody. I don't. I want to talk to the biggest number of people. Yes, I want to talk about specific ideas. Yes, but I don't have the knowledge to face. I talk about the things that I know.
Okay.
أكتر من هيك ما بتوسع.
Okay.
Like that's why if I again إذا ما بعرف what the guy I don't know how to have a deep detailed political Lebanese political conversation. I just when this happens I listen. When we talk about social politics I'm there. I'm your guy. But when you talk about Saad al-Hariri or when you talk about Samir Jaja, I don't give okay, I just listen. Like I don't give a fuck, and I know
you don't know enough to comment on it.
Yeah, but what I know of is كلهم يعني كلهم, which is
أكيد. This is the simplest. This is the basic thing you should know. And Anna, what you just said right now is, it's funny that you said that. Tariq and I have had this conversation like many times. So we have a podcast, Mahek. It's a Lebanese podcast, right? But
true.
We don't only want to tackle politics, and yet at the same time, we know that if we talk about politics, the views go from here to here. It depends what content you put out, but because politics are so fucking ingrained in all the problems that are happening and every single thing in society,
I don't agree.
You don't.
Let me tell you why. Politics can take you now from here to here now.
100%.
Right?
Then long term. I know. I know what you mean.
Yeah, but in the long term, you will have a lot of enemies. Unless you talk about everybody, so you will have more enemies. Just I want to add something about why is politics, Lebanese politics is interesting now, because there was a revolution in October 17, and because we're in a crisis. And everybody is talking about. It's trendy now to talk about politics, which is correct, which is true, which is perfect. This is awesome.
Let me add one thing. In Lebanon, whenever there is a trend, people milk the fuck out of that trend, regardless if it's political or not.
Everywhere, bro. مش بس بلبنان, everywhere.
بلبنان because it's a small.
أنا واحد منهم.
بس بلبنان because it's a very small society and everything is amplified way more. Yeah.
Yeah. But what else do we have to? What else do we do? Like now, like this is what's happening now is all based on politics, because of politics. Other than that, مثلا بأمريكا, I said that before, and it wasn't only it was not my idea. It's a collective thought. Comedy in the US was at its peak when George Bush was president, when Trump was president.
Yeah.
Yet when we had Barack Obama and now we have Joe Biden,
it's kind of boring.
It went to the downfall. Like they have nothing to joke about, because everything is kind of أكيد مش مظبوط, بس إنه kind of good. Like it's not something
they're boring.
very extremist.
They're boring.
I know they're boring. He's doing this. He's actually doing something, but it's يمكن فيها mishaps صغار, بس إنه he's actually doing something. Trump was like, I'm gonna build a wall. And they were like, yes, jokes. And so you had this peak in comedy. And
I was even thinking about that, like when it comes to Lebanon, how actually 2 days ago I was thinking about when it comes to Lebanon, ever since the October 17 protests up until now, it's been like a field day for content creators and comedians. Like they've gained so much traction because there's so much content that you guys can talk about.
Yes, but you have to be a very كيف بدي أقول لك إياها, بدك تنتبه عن شو تحكي وكيف تحكي عنها. أنا في شغلة I always when we discuss comedy, I always say one thing. It's the why, the reason why we're joking about something, and why we're talking about this now, and why we're talking about this in this way, in that way, and this way. It's the why. It's the reason. So we have to be responsible in our content. I definitely did a lot of errors that I know or I don't know of. And it's a learning process, and it's a way to evolve. So now what's happening, like I need, there's something recently that happened. I wanted to talk about it, but I refrained from it. Like I did an episode You remember when Tripoli, they were like 35 persons from Tripoli, they were detained and they were accused of being terrorists.
Yeah.
And I did the whole episode and then حطيتها بالجرور for one reason. Somebody told me ما فيك تحكي هذا الموضوع، هذا بسموه تحقير القضاء. لو imagine if I uploaded this. Imagine if I uploaded this.
Yeah.
And at one point I am extremely ashamed that I didn't upload this, because I wanted to talk about this and I wanted to talk about the injustice that the Tripoli people Tripoli شو يعني طرابلسية بالانجلش خيي يا اخي مش عم بعرف اطلع
natives people residing in Tripoli.
Okay, so
You're just like Tripoli
Yes,
people
exactly.
is the people of Tripoli.
Tripoli people خيي خلاص ماشيين انه لا it was unjust, that's why they ظهرون من بعدها. And at the same time I was afraid because I wanted to keep on talking. من الآخر بعترف فيها. Yes, at some points I am afraid of to talk about some things because of the fact the Lebanese law that's
So
very weird.
I have an interesting perspective for you, because I was actually talking about this very recently with my family. What you mentioned, Khayi, like we can't ignore. If you're in Lebanon right now, and if you mention certain things, yes, you could be, the defamation law, when you talk about a certain political party or politician, you could get thrown in jail, you could get beaten up. Some cases, Khayi, it might be even worse. So there is the fear. Having said that, the issue we've been going through over the past 20, 30 years is no one was speaking up. So what do you want to do? Do you want to protect yourself, which is completely normal? Nobody wants to get fucking thrown into jail or die or get defamed. Nobody wants that. But if you don't speak up, who's going to speak up? You know what I mean? And if you look at people like Gino Raidi, like him or don't like him, forget it. He has his haters, he has his people who like him. But it was the first time somebody really started to call the government on their shit. Whether what he was saying was right or not right doesn't matter. It was the first time there was a big page critiquing people, and him having to leave makes a lot of sense. So what?
Yes.
And for me, for us, like we have a podcast. You're a comedian. You have a bit of a platform. We have a bit of. Do you protect your self-interests in terms of nobody targeting you? Or do you speak up because somebody has to fucking speak up? We need a bit of freedom of speech, right to attack our politicians. We have to have this.
Yes, love this question. Okay, yes, it's in the middle. It's definitely in the middle. Yes, we need to speak up about a lot of things. Yes, definitely. We must speak up. يعني خلص, it's time. Yet at the same time منخاف نحكي عن قصص مثل ما هي.
أكيد.
So I go back to the first question that Tariq asked me is both of you asked me about this. Don't you go directly to these people? Why don't you do this? This is me. This is the answer. What I do is the answer of your question. I am in the middle. I talk about things. I talk bluntly about things, about topics. Yet I talk about them enough in order to protect me in the future, because for the sole reason, for two reasons. أول شيء, because I want to keep on talking. I want to always have a platform. Okay, I have a lot to say. وتاني شيء, because I am always reminded by my family that we need you. Like please don't go big, because we need you. Like من الآخر, I am one of the supporters. Like I support my family. Okay, not we need you physically, like financially. I don't talk about this.
More emotional.
But I support my family, and therefore, emotional and financial. I'm gonna say it. I'm the only like أنا الصبي وحيد عند أهلي. عرفت كيف؟ بس إنه so أكيد هلا كلنا نحن يعني أنا I work and I support my family. My sister works and she supports the family. Yet they always remind me that, because they know I want to speak up bluntly about things. Yet this is at some point hurting me. Yet it's the صوت الضمير إذا بدكم. يعني هو إنه انتبه, we need you, انتبه إنه don't go there, we cannot provide you legal action إنه assistance because we can't.
ما في وصاية basically quote unquote.
ما في وصاية. أنا بيي ما بحياته كان لاحق حدا، ما بحياته كل وقت عم بيعلمني انه انا عائلتي بيرسونلي از عائله كمال / نعمه، عرفت كيف؟ از اهل بيي وامي we are the perfect representation of what's علمانيه and what's what's تعايش طائفي. literally نحن يعني انا خالتي مجوزه مسيحي وخالي مجوز مسيحي، اثنيناتهم بعضهم على دينهم او فيهم. انا مثلا I'm not a religious person and they know and they're good with that. and my father taught me not انه الحق هذا الشخص او عمول هذا الشيء او اتحايل على هذا الشخص. He didn't tell me that. He taught me like how to talk with people and how to do good things and how to direct yourself in a good manner. That's what he taught me. So دايما بيجي بيقول لي انه we need you، انتبه we cannot، ما فينا نحن نجي نساعدك يعني. وهذا بس في شغله صغيره بس يلي هي استيت صغيره، يلي هي انه if now I get a call for anything that I said from the government, I know for a fact that there's a community now that will back me up.
Yeah.
يعني when Shadon was if you remember Shadon got a phone call
not long ago.
هذا الشيء.
Yeah.
Yes, in 2 hours they called her and told her like يا بدنا نأجلها. عرفت كيف؟ they don't say it cancelled. They will say نأجلها. عرفت كيف؟ لأنه everybody was there, like يا كلنا خميس literally I was texting personally. I was texting the group of comedians إنه guys تعالوا نتروق عندي على الساعة 8 بالبيت، نرجع بنروح من هون على فرن الشباك بنقعد. يعني it was like okay we have to do this. It's a normal thing to do. So but for me now I'm in the middle. I talk about a lot of things and how they should be how it should be addressed, yet not bluntly as other people.
Yeah, the cool thing about what happened with Shadon though is that, you know, one of the good things that has come out of people's awareness being raised is now through social media and alternative media you have this like mu'arada, not in a physical sense but more from a mental sense, whereas like if this thing happened to Shadon 2-3 years ago, they would just take her, their silencer, and maybe she would, I wouldn't say they'd kill her, but like she would no longer be creating content anymore. Now because everybody's so emotionally triggered and everybody's so zoned in and knows what's going on, there's this big movement. I remember I'm not even living in Lebanon. The moment the Shadon thing happened, I just see this huge rally on social media like, no, there's no fucking way we're gonna let her go and we're gonna let them do this illegal shit to her.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool, and I think that's even growing. That's one of the bright spots over the past 2 years within our society. Anna, from my perspective, when we're talking about like the page in particular in Fawda, Anna personally, and this might be a bit controversial or not, but Anna, I personally think that not just in Lebanon but in the Middle East in general, our biggest problems are not political. I think it's societal. يعني بالمجتمع. أنا بحس إنه عندنا المشاكل الأساسية you could trace their roots to society. I'll give you an example. We had the lockdown that was the major lockdown after Christmas. وبعدين عملوا هاي قصة الطلب إنه everybody, we knew that the cases at one point were over 5,000 per day. People were dying. Hospitals were overwhelmed. Then they do this thing and you have to fill out the form if you want to if you want to leave your house. What ends up happening? And this has nothing to do with the politicians. Let's forget the politicians for a bit. Everybody starts filling out forms that they have to go to the hospitals. Man, I've never seen so many people wanting to go to a hospital or to the grocery to go to meet up. Before this lockdown, it was during Christmas, during the Christmas time, holiday season, people were going out partying and meeting up with friends in very tight spaces in large groups. So Anna, when I wanted to create this platform,
I don't put it on the crowd.
No, I'm not saying.
I don't put it on the people.
أنا عم بعطي مثل صغير. بس أنا بوجهة نظري أنا what I want Fawda to be, or what I wanted Fawda to be and what I still want it to be, is something that not just solely we'll talk about politics every now and then, but I want to talk about society in general, Lebanese society and eventually Middle Eastern society. I want to talk about people's success stories that have done success in unconventional ways. I want to talk about interesting subjects that people usually are, when they hear it, they're like, oh my god, you guys are actually talking about this towards a large scale audience, blah blah blah. That's the way that I always saw this. And if you're talking about politics, I personally think that there are already a lot of platforms that provide great political content, whether it's through podcasting or through alternative media. ومثل ما انت قلت I don't consider myself a political expert. I have decent knowledge about what's going on. But if somebody's gonna come up to my platform to get knowledge about politics 24/7, I'll be the first person to say, no, I'm not that person. You shouldn't be coming to me for this shit.
لا أنا في شغلة one thing that you said that I don't agree with you, which is أنت you said it's a society problem. People after the lockdown.
بس هاي كان مثل صغير. إذا في يعطي كتير أمثال شو قصدي بمشكلة المجتمع اللي عنا إياها. عنا كتير مشاكل بالمجتمع.
It's derived from the political life. لأنه من أنت ومن أول ما خلقت بالحياة من بعد الحرب الأهلية وطلوع there wasn't like people like a political campaign about بيئة أو about يعني like everything من الحرب الأهلية وطلوع was the government was encouraging people break the law. You'll always have someone in your back.
Okay.
You'll always have someone في دايما في واسطة في محسوبية في سبقانية في كل هدول انت you're always good ما تعطي الهم. اذا انت هلا اسهل شيء اذا هلا انت اكلت ضبط اوكي you always have someone to go to حتى يقلق لك شيء اللي الضبط بشرفك and you will get that and you will and it's okay لانه it's in Lebanon لانه لبنان هو اللي عودك تعمل هذا الشيء لانه الجوفرمنت عودتك تعمل هذا الشيء انه it's there already مش انه you هذا فذاتس واي ما فيك تقول وقت صار في كوفيد انه ايه ما العالم ما لحقوا هدول ما العالم ما اصلا ما عندهم هذا المنتاليتي من الاساس عرفت كيف انه so they will take
this is
do you think
this is so true like you know
sorry Ryan go
yeah I'm going to agree with Wissam because at the end of the day, the government are the ones setting the laws. They're setting the standard. Nahna as humans, human nature is another thing. So, Nahna, you and I both have had experience in London, Mahek. London are handling COVID very well. You know why? Because in London, there are strict rules and regulations. If you go out, you get a fine, and the fine is properly registered, and there's a proper system behind it. Therefore, people don't break the rules as much. Imagine you take a country like London, which is, democracy and well-functioning and well-running. You put our laws in place, our politicians in place. Bro, people will be breaking the law. Yamin u shmil. People will be going out, clubbing, No one would be listening. Because I get what Wissam is saying. Wissam is saying, the government are the ones who dictate the standards of what you're going to do culturally. Yani, they are the ones setting the tone. We didn't have that. So people said, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of it. Fuck them. And that's what happened.
Do you think that in Lebanon, we need, what should come first? Societal change within society or political change?
Hold that thought.
Okay. Okay, لا sorry كمل يعني وقفت الكاميرا رجعت مشيت. Okay.
أقول لك بلبنان we should like start changing because with politicians it's never going to change. And for me, I think the change should come within society. And then let that eventually transition. As you have a lot of NGOs, you have a lot of independent movements that are non-government affiliated. Let them start taking initiative. بعرف مثلا في رفيقنا Sam Al-Khouri, he's doing a wonderful job in trying to raise awareness about environment and trying to teach people that no, it's not good to pollute. We're actually in a very bad space right now, and you should start caring more about recycling and green energy, what so forth. But do you think that should be the priority and where people actually raise awareness within society, or should politicians
ما هيدا هي it's not about لبنان هو مليان بالان جي اوز يلي هو بس شغلتهم بالحياة يا يساعدوك لانه الجفرمنت ما عم بتساعدك مفروض properly يا يعملوا لك الكامبين اللي انت مفروض تسمعها بس it's not their job. It's the job of the government. They have to regulate this for you and at the same time they have to give you in return. يعني مثلا أنا كل سنة بصرح عن ضريبة الدخل لأنه I work as a freelancer. So I go and I fill it up and I work with an accountant and this guy بيعطيني كل الأوراق وبروح أنا على ليبان بوست وبحط لهم إياهم هدول وبعمل كل هاي أنا personally لأنه I'm a lawful person. عرفت كيف؟ ما بدي حدا يجي يقول لي شي نهار انه وينك احول كل شيء على المضبوط مع كل الفواتير وهدول بس بجي بعت لي فون بوست بيصنع المساج انه يا it went to وزارة المالية and I was like okay it went to وزارة المالية بس what the fuck did I get in return؟ إذا أنا if I paid my taxes what did I get in return؟ nothing. So إذا عم تحكي إذا بدنا نقعد نعمل it's good to remind people that it's there بس people are هلا أكيد منا براسهم إنه يفكروا إنه we need to be we don't need to pollute we know especially now هلا العالم عم بفكروا إنه كيف بدي اشتري ربطة الخبز يلي هلا صار على حق 3000 ليرة وكيف بدي عبي البنزين يلي هلا صار 39,000 بكره بيصير like we adapted بسرعة على قصة انه اوكي سو هلا $13,000 كتير منيح بكره 14 اوكي هدي عرفت كيف سو نحن كتير شعب معتمد على نفسه we don't have a government that gave us the security تحت نعرف تحت ناخد قصص اللي المفروض ناخدها عرفت علي يعني to take them properly especially قصة البيئة أجمل شيء من فترة اللي صار قصة البيئة هو مثلا سد بسري قصة مرج إنه people بس because بس كمان بس yes بس ما تنسى إنه it had كمان إنه if there was a political reason another political reason إنه there was a politician who was trying to destroy مرج بأمه وأبوه تيخلق سد ما له طعمه عرفت كيف؟ مش انه there was a company that's coming انه ونحن قلنا لا وعملنا انه
لا it was the government with the World Bank
it was the government اللي عم بتدمر لك بيئتك حتى تعمل لك سد ما بيمشي عرفت كيف انه so it all goes back to politics.
Like نحن we obviously spoke a lot about politics and you know it's very easy to speak about politics here but something that I think is I've always been fascinated with comedians and stand-ups why they do this is talking about personal shit and trying to find a comedic spin on it. Anna for me and I was considered a relatively funny person in high school. The general thinking is all comics and funny people are hiding insecurities. Yani there's always something in you that you're hiding and to a degree as someone who a few people have called funny I get it like my insecurity was that I really want to be liked and so I would overdo it with the jokes and the trying to make people laugh to try and be liked. With you guys and some of the shit you say, you tap into personal places. Yani, you speak about your relationships. You talk about breaking up with an ex and yes, some of it is exaggerated for the sake of the bit. But how easy is it for you guys to do that? Talking about like your ex-girlfriend and breaking up, she's gonna see your material. You know what I mean? Everyone in society, Lebanon is the size of my thumb. Everyone in society knows who your ex-girlfriend is or this. How, yani, I don't know, how do you get the balls to talk about that?
Okay. So about my ex-girlfriend ما حضرت الشو طبعا I don't know at least إذا عم نحكي about this ex-girlfriend in particular
okay.
I don't بصراحة
in general
مش in general stand up for me it's therapy أنا for me personally it's therapy for me because I miss immensely the stage I miss immensely the people إذا ضحكوا ولا ما ضحكوا I miss this because I تخيل أنا I'm getting paid to go on stage and to share ideas and to try to make people laugh like it's the best thing to do عرفت كيف but at the same time it's therapy it's like when in Shashma I talk about how my girlfriend broke up with me and because her mother didn't accept me because I am from a different religion and how I tried to نفرجيها انه انا منيح بالرeligion عندكم حتى تقدر تتقبلني so I'm tackling a lot of things I talk about death I talk about the death of my grandpa I talk about the financial يعني إذا بدك unfortunate life that I had or still have يمكن with the small place that I lived with my parents ببرج حمود أنا I talk about bullying هيدا أهم شيء أنا عندي أنا كنت ناطر أحكي عن هذا الموضوع لأنه I had 8 years of my life at school with 0 friends because I was bullied all the time so now I have this platform that I can go on stage and say yeah I was bullied عرفت كيف؟ And it's not an AA meeting where hi my name is Wissam, hi Wissam, شو اسمه, yeah I was bullied at school, we understand. It's the same, yet people are laughing at you and it's okay. عرفت كيف? It's the same idea, yet people are laughing and you want them to laugh, like. So I think it's really important for this to exist, and it's easy on us as comedians. It is and it's not at the same time, because when I want to talk about, I go back to something I told you before, which is the why I'm talking about this, why I'm discussing this, why I'm talking about my ex. I shouldn't give a fuck, but I do give a fuck about the situation, why the reason why she broke up with me. It's not about her, it's about the reason, the situation. It's not about like, if I don't know if you've seen Shashmo, but at some point I say when I talk about this I say yeah I tried انه فرجيها انه انا كمسلم, لانه انا اسم حاطين علي انا مسلم, انا من انا I didn't choose that, بس انه انا كمسلم فيني يكون رواق بالكوميونتي المسيحيه. سو صرت مثلا اقول اعمل شغله مثلا, صرت انا غير اللمبه بالبيت, انا عم غير لهم اللمبه بالبيت عندهم تصير رتل يسوع فرح, عرفت كيف؟ So I do that. This actually happened. I did that without knowing. Like I كنت ببيت my اول اكس لإلي, my first three, and وثاقبت انه مضطرين نروح لعندها لنصور a project لher best friend, and I faced her mother that يعني هي ما بتطيقني لانه انا مسلم. اوكي بس it was very awkward because she was هاي طنط سافا ماشي حال, and I was like عم بفتح الضوء حتى نركب الضوء, and I was like يسوع فرحي يسوع فرحي. And when we left, my best friend asked me, who was there, asked me, he was like, why were you singing Tretil while we were shooting? And I was like, I was singing Tretil when I was shooting. And I was like, yes. And I was like, what the fuck? So I didn't know in the بالconscience تبعولي ما كان عارف انه عم بعمل هذا الشيء, بس subconscious كان عم بيحكي, عم بيلغلي, عم بيرتل subconscious تبعولي. And I remember that after 8 years when this happened again. So I found yes, I have a platform to talk about this. Shashmo. It was the fast. By the way, this bit was the fastest bit I wrote in my life. It took me 5 minutes to write it, and the second day it was in the show.
Because it's probably something it's something that emotionally stuck with you so much, and you hadn't really spoken about it in like such a detailed way. So maybe that was why you were very triggered.
It's relatable, Khaye. It's relatable, yani. Like, there, Tariq, you know this, and you've told me stories, and I've told you stories. There have been many times where we all know someone, Muslim guy, Muslim girl, dates a Christian guy or a Christian girl.
I had a very similar situation to you, Wissam.
And there are issues. And this is something maybe to a foreigner, they don't, why would there be issues? But the world has become so accepting, and but that's not the case in Lebanon. You get into interreligious marriage or interreligious relationships. Unfortunately, there's a lot of shit behind it, you know.
أضحك شيء لما أصحابي الأجانب, and they, like, if I have like a foreign friend in London sitting with me and my Lebanese friends, and sometimes they hear هيك إنه labels being thrown around by religion, إنه هيدا مسيحي أو هي مصاحبة واحد مسلم. And they always look at me and like, why do you guys label each other based off religion? And I'm like, yeah, but it's too complicated if we're gonna start getting
you're like, اسمع ماشي, you're like, that's true, ليك يا شيعي. And you just go like, ليك يا سني.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks إنه في هذا الشيء بلبنان. Yet great لأنه I got more material to talk about on stage. I got 15 minutes of comedy, which is great.
That's true. It helps.
And I love the fact when somebody comes to me and says after the show and says like I had this and I'm so glad that I'm hearing about it now. And I was like, I'm sorry, same girl.
Wait, we were what dates were you dating her?
Yeah. So yeah, I am so in love with stand-up, and I'm so in love with comedy that I miss it immensely, especially now with lockdown, and I miss getting treated. That's it.
Do you see yourself staying here? Anna, unfortunately, I came back for a while, and I wanted to work on Fawda, but unfortunately I had to leave because I had to get a job, and I don't have a lot of opportunities, and there's not
Yes.
so many opportunities for everyone. And now more than ever, you see a mass exodus going on. For what we want to also ask
Yes.
you is like, do you
And
see yourself
I was
staying
the
here for
guy.
the foreseeable future?
Yes, I was the guy. عم بحكي هلا أنا عم بحكيك هلا ب 2021. I was the guy يلي كل ما حدا يجي يقول لي قبل إنه بدي فل حتى أروح أعمل كارير برا. I was the guy who talked them out of it. Like, no, stay here. You can do it here. You have so many opportunities. You have so many potential. We can change that. We can do that. Now, unfortunately, and shamefully, I am the guy who anybody brings up that they're leaving, and I'll be like, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Don't come back until further
I
notice.
got you.
Like, the house that I'm renting is my friend's house, one of my closest friends, and he's 4 years ago he got married and he lived in this house for like 9 months, and he got an offer to Dubai and he left. And now thankfully Smallah يعني على خجب إنه he has a company that acquired another company that now has 12 employees. And this guy is brilliant. He's passionate. He's a hardworking person. تعرف if he stayed
Yeah.
شو بيعمل؟ عرفت كيف؟ and he has a kid. Every time بنحكي أنا وياه بقول له don't fucking think of coming back. You have a career now يعني. Just keep Lebanon now as a memory, as a good memory. Like, remember the good food, the good friends, the good art, the don't remember يعني. Like this, I live in Jعيتاوي. I've cleaned this house from November till now like at least 20 times. خيي ما حاول أكتر من هيك. Okay, every time I find a small piece of glass on the floor ما بعرف وين تظهر. I always tell him like I always imagine if you were here with your kid and your wife. This is heartbreaking. Like منيح اللي أنت بدبي.
Was there a lot of damage that happened?
I really
when
the house was damaged, and I came to it when the windows were fixed, but everything else wasn't. So I fixed it. عرفت كيف؟ يعني من الموتور ترمبة المي تبعتي اللي بتطلع لك مي بالبيت للباب المخلوع للكرسي اللي بعد ما صلحتها. So هيدا كل مرة بجي بقول له إنه don't ever fucking think of coming back until further notice. It's not about romanticizing the country. It's not the country. It's the identity. Like انت وتفلم من لبنان. انا فلت من لبنان مثلا رحت عشت 3 اشهر بقطر. كل الشيء الوحيد اللي اكثر قصص فكرت فيه انه 3 شغلات: الاكل، دليل اللي انا ناصح، الاكل، الاصحاب، اوكي اصحاب / عائله يعني، اصحاب، والفن. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about politicians. I don't give a fuck about the struggles. I don't give a fuck about the causes, القضايا. آخر همي أي قضية نقوا قضية. I don't give a fuck about it. I don't give a fuck about anything. I just give a يعني هن 3 قصص: الأكل، arts اللي هن الculture. يعني 2 things: culture and the people. خسار هو 2 لشو بدك تبقى أصلا. فهذا اللي عم بيصير هلا. نحن هلا قد ما في عالم عم بتفل. We're losing culture and we're losing people. عرفت كيف؟ we're losing culture and losing people. آخر سترين عنا إياها يلي هي وقت هلا بكرة أوكي لأنه إيه حتكون كتير سريعين نحن. وقت نقدر نرجع على الشوات يعني وهيدول رح يصير في عندك شوات إذا ضلوا الوضع على الأسوأ يعني لحد ما توصل لمرحلة خلص. يعني like literally I cannot believe I am fully ashamed that we are considering أنا personally إنه عم نحكي هذا حديث هذا مرة إنه to increase the prices of the tickets. حسيت حالي خرا إنه كيف يعني أنا I'm increasing the prices on لو 5,000 ليرة which is هلا هي أقل من 5 cents. ما كيف بدي أجبر إنسان أقول له ليك تعال احضر ستاند اب خيي. أنا what I want more هو إنه يحضر ستاند اب أكتر بكتير من إنه يدفع لي مصاري. عرفت كيف؟ It's not about يدفع لي مصاري. أكيد بدي أقبض من الشوات تبعولي. Yes it's work. بس إنه at the same time بدي إياه يحضر ستاند اب. بدي إياه يسمعني بدي إياه يجي يحضر ويكون مبسوط وأنا بدي أكون مبسوط لأنه هو هونيك. فهذا الشيء. نتخيل أن إحنا عم نعمل نقاش مع فينيو معين إنه شو قولكم منعلي 5000 ولا منعلي 10000. So culture is dying because of the economic crisis and because of everything, and that's sad. So what
Lick,
you have
I will say
in
this.
return is,
I will say this just to round things off. I am praying, even though I'm, I guess, an atheist. I'm not really religious, but I am praying for the day where we can watch you live and the ticket won't be 450,000 lira. It'll be a nice,
I wouldn't do it.
stable
I wouldn't do it,
estimate.
man.
That
I will يا أخي I will do my best إنه ما أعمله. يعني عرفت كيف إنه unless صرت عن جد الليرة هي مثلا الدولار هو ما بعرف مليون شو بعرف ما بعرف إنه بس إنه عم تتخيل أنت إنه مرحبا بليز بدي أديك وسام كمال.
I know. And I'm hoping for the day that we can. هلا نحنا, this was a bit of the problem that نحنا as Lebanese, we just went, as long as we could go to the pubs and clubs and have fun, we didn't care what was happening to a degree. So I'm hoping for the day where we can go to a stand-up comedy show, we can watch you live, we can have a good time, but all the underlying principles of what forms a country are normal. So this is all I can say. And لك تقلك الصراحة, it's been very good seeing another side of you and hearing your thoughts and opinions and your backstory. Ooh, it's been great getting to know you, Wissam.
It was honestly
all the best,
like a great conversation from my end as well. I really enjoyed.
Thank you. After COVID,
it was a pleasure meeting
I want an episode أنا وياكم لايف وجنا ببعض لأنه عن جد I don't مع بالي ما بحب كتير الزوم.
we can do a part 2, part 3, even cameras on.
Yes, can't wait.
You know, I'm down.